Green Lantern issue 6, Legacy number 542, by my count anyway. Jeremy Adams writing with Zermanico and Scott Godlewski on the art. So last issue ended with Sinestro getting so pissed off that he basically out of nowhere developed Red Lantern powers, like Red Lantern light around him. Much like Hal has the willpower light around him without having a ring. He just has it. So we kick off, and a lot of this issue actually is just what their fight is. It's their fight with Sinestro using this newfound power that he's got, and just the backwards and forwards. And there's a lot of fun stuff here. Like, Hal literally forms a rocket construct around him with straps, so that Sinestro's strapped to a rocket and is like flying somewhere. That's good stuff.
I love it is a duel in that whatever Sinestro throws at Hal counters and vice versa. So that's constantly one-upping until we get to the big moment. With the massive construct that Hal uses, but this is just Germanico cooking.
Oh yeah,
I feel like Adams was like, "Hey, what do you want to draw?" And then Adams is plotting the story to go that way, in terms of the fight scene and whatever.
Yeah, at one point he constructs an alien dinosaur to charge at Hal.
Yep.
And then that smashes Hal's big green wall that he built. And then some jets come in to try and help Hal, because Carol's concerned. She's concerned about Hal, so she sends in a couple of fighter planes to try and help him. But of course, Sinestro is quite happy to, basically form this.
Those.
Sorry?
He goes after the jets too, right?
Yeah, there's a big 2-page spread where he's sending all. It's like giant monsters, basically, that are coming after him, but the entire page just covered in red and yellow. It's just a very overwhelming thing. And then Hal, to try and save them, becomes like the tip of an arrow, basically, and even comments that Oliver would approve. And
Ollie would like this.
Yeah. So, and Sinestro eventually just makes a giant like kaiju with like a laser beam coming out of his head to rip the city in half. So it's all good stuff, and then Hal decides to, okay, fine, if you're going to be a giant monster, I'll be a giant robot, and builds a huge green mech suit to fight him in. So he even drops a Power Rangers reference at one point. It's all fun stuff. So this is a full on action issue, and I think it's earned it because there's been a lot of build up to get to this issue. I think it's had some good action sprinkled throughout, don't get me wrong, but it's taken the time to build up to whatever Sinestro's doing here. So this payoff feels like they've earned having this big issue that is mostly action. But it all comes to a head when, after a big boom, Sinestro just flies off into space as quickly as he can, and Hal, because his powers are tied to Earth and being able to breathe, he just he hits a limit where he can't go any further, otherwise he's going to die. So he just has to turn back. So I actually really like that panel of just the red light blinking in the distance in space.
It feels not hopeless, right? But he's just like out of reach, and Hal feels hopeless because he can't do anything. He can't leave the atmosphere, and he just says gone. And there's this bottom panel takes about an eighth of the page, and it's got Hal with Earth behind him and just a wide expanse of space, and he feels so small and insignificant.
It does, yeah, it makes him feel helpless. And that's 90% of the issue. Like, it really is 90% of this fight between Hal and Sinestro, and just all the crazy things that Zermanico can draw between the fight. And because red and green contrast so well, it's always a very nice, pleasing image to just watch. You're never... Not that the yellow and green were hard to follow. No. Depending on how you color yellow, it could be close to green. They're quite close in the gradient wheel.
I mean, they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
But also this is an issue that came out in December, so red and green are appropriate.
That's true. It's very Christmassy. I never even thought of that. You're right.
So, but this is the bombshell here. So like the Gundam, Voltron giant robot, that was really cool, awe-inspiring. But these last 2 pages,
there's a twist here. So Hal goes back to his trailer, and Kilowog's waiting with a beer. He's like, what the hell's going on, Jordan? And he's asking questions. And then we hear a voice come out of the, off panel. And is this like one of the Indigo tribe who's not got their lantern ring anymore?
That's what it looks like, right? So
that's what I thought.
When when Hal and Sinestro clash, and Hal's like, there's something wrong with the emotional spectrum we need to stop, and Sinestro's like, I'll never stop. And there's a gigantic boom that bathes everything in white light. There is an indigo wave that goes through. Right? So that's what made me, I'm like, is that Phantom Lantern-y stuff? Like, is this, Sinestro? But whatever. So they go, and there's this guy that definitely feels there's a monk kind of aspect to him.
Yeah, and he looks alien
for sure.
Yeah, he looks kind of alien monk. Not super, like he's very humanoid. Don't get me wrong, but he's just got enough like details in his face to look alien.
Yeah.
So, and I know Indigo tribes, they were all like people who were like prisoners who were taken over by the Indigo light to do good. So how that works into this, if that's who he is, I'm not sure. But he basically says, Lantern Jordan, why you're talking to a construct of Kilowog, and then he turns around and the Kilowog like turns green and fades away, and you're like, shit, Kilowog's dead. And Hal's been talking to a fake Kilowog, whether he knew it or not. It was something from his mind. Well, he calls this character Razor. I don't know who this character is.
Yeah. So Razor came from so I just looked him up, from Young Justice in the Green Lantern cartoon, where he's from Earth 16. He's equal parts hope and rage.
Interesting.
So he can wield both the red and the blue, which, as you know, the blue would quell the red, right? It was the one thing that would stop the burning of the red. So, parted ways with Kilowog, sent his regards to Jordan. But yeah, so he's a character that it seems...
Hold on. I'm not saying this makes me right, but if you mix red and blue together...
you get violet, though, not indigo.
It's close to indigo. It's in the ballpark.
You're closer than you were, right? So... But there's definitely something to this, and knowing that Jeremy Adams works in animation, 100% he saw a character from an animated show that he thought he could bring in.
Well, I don't feel bad for not knowing who he is then.
No. Okay. No, because I didn't even know who he was until I just Googled him. I said, I looked up, Razor Green Lantern, and he looks just like he does here.
And don't get me wrong, I'm sure that the next issue is going to give us a lot more context for him. Here it's just like, he's a character comes in and drops this bombshell of like, why are you talking to a construct? And then that reveals to us that Kilowog is seemingly dead right now. Or at least Hal thinks he's dead. That's possible. But either way, it was a bit of a gut punch at the end, and made all these conversations that he's had with Kilowog and this run so far feel kind of bittersweet in hindsight.
So between that and then everything going on with John, I do feel like we're getting a reset of the Green Lantern Corps along the line, because we don't know where the rest of the Lanterns are, right? Kilowog being dead is a huge bomb to drop. And we know from the last time before I picked this up because of Adams, the last thing I remember reading was Kyle and Kilowog and all of those other guys were off spread across the galaxy. And it felt like some United Planets type stuff. So I'm wondering if this is going to play into all of that, or if this is something new that Adams is going to drop on us. But yeah, I was not expecting Kilowog to disappear into a green flash.
I mean, I think we generally know what the Green Lanterns are doing, and that they're just not in Sector 2814, but I mean, we don't know specifically where any of the ones we know are.
Right. The Kyles, the Simons, the Jesses, the guys, like, there's something afoot going on with the powers, with the energy spectrum, emotional spectrum. And
that's clearly a story that's been told in this book, because they keep bringing it up. So this is something we're building to in this story for sure. Yeah. I mean, Guy can stay lost, but the rest I'm curious to see where they pop up.
He can stay lost with Kyle's stupid crab mask. Then.
How dare you?
But yeah, no, this was Zermanico again. He was cooking here. All the constructs, all the action sequences, that big explosion, and props to the colorist on this too. If I could pull up the name, if I get the credits page.
Yeah,
because
notably,
All the colors.
Godlewski, who also like I think he just did the last 2 pages. If
Yeah.
I'm just looking quickly,
Yeah.
it seems like that's because the art does change there. I did notice it.
Hmm.
It's not a huge deal, but it did stick out a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because Godlewski is not a completely different style than Zermanico, but it's a lot flatter.
yeah,
But yeah, so the colors here is Romulo Fajardo Jr. And just everything with the colors, everything's very bright and vibrant. So, and it does add to the overall story in a Green Lantern book. You want those colors to pop, and like you're talking about when Sinestro goes after the Jets, it's just a swirl of yellow and red and orange, and the bad side of the spectrum.
yeah, but it looks like there's claws and mouths coming out of it.
Yeah.
Like monster
Yep.
things.
But yeah, props on this book. It's good to be reading a consistent Green Lantern book again.
Yeah. What you rating Green Lantern? Oh, it was a backup, but I didn't read it.
I didn't read after the last one. I was kind of nothing against Tomasi. I don't need Dark Super Sons. Right now.
Yeah.
I have 12 other books to read this week. So.
All right, what are you rating Green Lantern issue 6?
I'm gonna give this an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll go straight 8. It was really good.